Hello everyone, this is me Samayasar Jain. Well, I just wanted to casually make this video about Jainism. This is the basic diagram and the symbol of Jainism, and this is called the Triloka. This diagram is called the Triloka of Jainism, which means that according to Jainism, we believe that this is how the universe is, and you can see here in the center, this is the center part, this is the central universe, which means that here in the central universe is where our earth is. Our earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, and all the solar systems exist in this central universe. And in the central universe, there is both pleasure and pain, which means every living being in this central universe goes through happiness and sadness every day and every moment in their life. Well, above the central universe, if you go here, you can actually see that the distance is only this much, whereas in reality the distance is way long. In reality the distance is way long. You just cannot measure it. Well, because this is just a diagram, this is how it looks like. So since this is the central universe over here, the upper universe over here is where the 16 heavens are located. And in these 16 heavens, in the uppermost heaven is where Indra or Devendra is located, and all these are completely heavens. And those people who do good deeds, who pray, who help others, who feed animals, who are generally good people and who have done more good karma than bad karma, will be reborn in any one of these 16 heavens in his or her next life. And in earth, as of now, in today's generation, for people, our minimum lifespan is, let's say, around 80 to 90 years, or maybe 100 years, whereas in these heavens the minimum lifespan is 10,000 years. And below the earth we have the Bhavana Loka, and below that we have the Ventara Loka. Both these lokas are also actually a type of heaven only, but it is slightly different from these upper heavens, because in these two lokas, though there is no physical torture, it is the world of spirits. These two can be considered as the spirit world. The spirit world is basically like, let's say, for example, some people may have died due to an accident, or maybe like they may have had a sudden death, and the soul does not have place to and the soul does not have any vacancy to go and occupy a new body, a new physical body, and the soul will have to wait for a number of years before it can be reborn in another body. Therefore, until the soul finds a new physical body, these two are the places where normally the souls will be, just waiting. So you can call these two a spirit world. And yes, even among those spirits, sometimes some spirits can be good, some spirits can be bad, but however, it is not as good as these upper heavens, and nor it is as difficult as these hells below. And even this Ventara Loka and Bhavana Loka can be considered as the central universe. And now here comes the lower universe. In this lower universe, there is no happiness at all. It's only pain and suffering. And why? Because this lower universe starts from here all the way till here. This lower universe is actually the hell. In the lower universe, all the 7 hells and the Nitya Nigoda exists. So depending upon the intensity of one's bad karma, they end up going to each of these hell. For example, if someone has done quite a number of sins, and let's say their sins outweigh their good karma, then they will be born in any one of these hells. If someone has done less cruel things, they'll be born in first hell or second hell. Someone who has done a good number of cruel things in their previous lives, they'll be born in third, fourth and fifth hell. People who have done terrible deeds, they'll be born in sixth and seventh hell. And people who have done extreme terrible deeds, they'll even go below the seventh hell, and they'll go to this place called Nigoda. Nigoda can be considered as an 8th stage of hell, but however, actually Nigoda is not hell, but this place Nitya Nigoda is actually a place that is far worse than any of these hells. So in English, to describe Nigoda, a Nigoda is a place that is worse than hell, but Nigoda is itself not hell, but it's a place worse than hell. And finally, coming up over here, once we take Diksha and become, sannyasis, become monks and nuns, when we become Jain monks and Jain Matajis, and when we break our cycle of life and death, and when we attain moksha, our soul goes from here all the way to the top of the universe over here, which is moksha. Moksha is the top of the universe and the multiverse. Moksha can be said the top or the uppermost portion, the uppermost part of the universe and even the multiverse. And in moksha, there is only bliss. Now, all of you should understand what's the difference between happiness and bliss. Happiness means temporary, which comes and goes. Bliss means permanent happiness. So, once we attain moksha, which is in the top of the universe and the multiverse, our souls will be in complete bliss, not just happiness, but bliss, permanent happiness. And in moksha, there will be no physical body, it's only our soul which goes there. So so this is the uppermost part of the universe, which is moksha. The lowermost or the basement of the universe is Nitya Nigoda, that is, as I mentioned to you, a place that is worse than hell, or you can say it's the 8th stage of hell. So moksha is the only place where we have infinite % of happiness, where there is no sadness at all, where there is no pain, but only happiness and happiness and happiness. And one more thing I have to tell you, this heaven, these 16 heavens don't belong to central universe, they come under upper universe, which means there is pleasure and joy. There is pleasure, there is physical comfort, there is joy. Or in other words, there is actually more happiness than sadness in these 16 heavens. But though happiness is more, some sadness do exist even in these 16 heavens. Whereas in moksha, it is total bliss. There is no sadness at all. So this is the basic Triloka of Jainism. Moving ahead, these are the few more basic informations about Jainism. In Jainism, we talk about the 6 different dravyas. The 6 different dravyas, as we can see, are Jiva Dravya, that is life or soul, whatever. Pudgala Dravya, Pudgala means non-living. Dharma, Adharma, Akasha, Kala. Jiva means life, Pudgala means non-living thing, Dharma means your religion, Adharma means non-religious, Akasha means sky, Kala means times, the different times, like for example, now the Kala is Kali Yuga, later on it will be a different Yuga. Then we have the 7 tattvas, again starting with Jiva, that is life. Ajiva means, it is also similar to Pudgala, life, non-life. When you say Pudgala, it means non-living thing. When you say Ajiva, it means anything which is not life, where there is no life. So again, Jiva, Ajiva, Asrava, Bandha, Samvara, Nirjara, Moksha. And Bandha means this karmic bondage that we have, and Nirjara, it means to break the pleasures of these materialistic things and to enter into Godhood is called Nirjara. And the final one is Moksha, the uppermost part of the universe, Moksha. So Moksha is the 7th tattva. And now, moving ahead, we can see that there are 3 jewels of Jainism: Samyak Darshan, which means right belief; Samyak Jnana, which means right knowledge; and Samyak Charitra, which means right conduct. So, according to Jainism, Samyak Darshan, Samyak Jnana, and Samyak Charitra are the 3 different jewels of Jainism. Well, I would like to discuss some other areas of Jainism, and as I mentioned to you before, we see that in Jainism there are 2 sects. One is the Digambaras and the other one is the Shvetambars. Now let's see their differences. I've discussed 9 differences over here. The first difference is that the Digambar Jains believe that apart from Lord Adinath, Rishabdev Ji, because Lord Adinatha was also known as Rishabdev Ji, apart from all the other Tirthankars, only Lord Rishabnath was married when he was on earth as a king and as an emperor, and before he attained moksha. So Digambar Jains believe that apart from Lord Adinatha or Lord Rishabdeva, no other Tirthankaras were married. On the other hand, the Shvetamba Jains believe that only Lord Mahavira was married in his human life until he took Diksha and renounced his material life and later entered godhood. So Shvetamba Jains believe that except for Lord Mahavira, no other Tirthankars were married. And the second difference is that the Digambar Jains do not wear any clothes and wear any clothes. Here when I say that they do not wear any clothes, it means that they stay naked. Once they take Diksha and become Muni, a Digambar Jain saint, they do not wear any clothes, as they believe that in order to enter godhood, one needs to be detached from all the materialistic entities, including clothes. So, as per Digambar Jains, the Digambar Jain monks are generally naked, they don't wear any clothes. However, the Shwetambar Jain Munis or the Shwetambar Jain saints, even after they take Diksha and become saints, they wear just a plain white cloth around their body, as they too believe that one needs to be detached from all materialistic entities in order to attain godhood. But they also believe that in regards to white cloth for the saints, they believe that though we may be physically wearing a white cloth, but emotionally we can be detached from the white cloth, as emotional detachment from worldly things is more important than just being physically detached. This means that the Shwetambar Jains also believe that in order to attain moksha, to enter into godhood, we need to be detached from all the materialistic things. But they believe that in order to be detached from all the materialistic things, rather than the physical detachment, the Shwetambar Jains believe in emotional detachment, which means though they may be wearing the white cloth around their body, but emotionally they are not attached with their with their white cloth around their body. However, the third difference is that Digambar Jains believe that only men can attain salvation and reach moksha, but not women. Therefore, even women must first be reborn as men in order for them to attain moksha, as women are considered to be slightly impure human beings as compared to men. This is one area where even I personally don't agree with the Digambar Jain belief, because they say that moksha can be attained from the human form, and that too from the male human form itself. The Digambar Jains believe that as long as a soul is in a female's body, the soul cannot attain moksha, as Digambar Jains believe that the woman's body is slightly impure than that of the man. But however, this is not the case with the Shwetambars, and here is the reason why I totally agree with the Shwetambars. The Shwetambar Jains believe that both men and women can attain moksha, as both are human beings. The Shwetambar Jains respect and treat men and women equally. Women are never considered as impure or inferior gender in the Shwetambar Jain philosophy. So, the Shwetambar Jains, they never look down upon women. And one more thing, guys, that this is not to say that Digambar Jains don't respect women. No, Digambar Jains do respect women. It is just that Digambar Jains don't believe that a soul can attain moksha from a female's body. So according to Digambar Jains, if a lady has to attain moksha, first she has to be reborn as a man, and only then she can become a muni and attain moksha. Whereas in Shwetambar, both men and women can attain moksha according to Shwetambars. And Shwetambars accept that women are no less capable than men. So here I totally appreciate the Shwetambar Jain's philosophy. The fourth difference is that the Digambars do not decorate their Jain gods, idols and statues, as they do not feel it is right to use worldly fashion on the idols of the Jain gods, who have renounced their materialistic lives and attained godhood. This means that Digambar Jains never decorate their idols with flowers and fruits and many other colors and everything. The Digambar Jains idols are generally just made with one color and very pure. For example, if a Digambar Jain idol is made with gold, the complete idol will be made completely with gold. Or if it's made with silver, it will be completely silver. If it's made with bronze, it will be completely bronze. Whereas in the Shvetambars, they generally decorate their idols and with fruits, flowers, colors, paints, gems, and other types of precious metals and precious stones. So this means that the Shwetambar Jains, not only do they just make their idols with gold or any one color, the Shwetambar Jains normally, after creating their idols, they do a lot of decoration to their idols, such as like putting earrings to the ears of the Tirthankar's statue, putting putting some other garlands, putting different colors, and putting flowers and fruits and different paints to make their idols look colorful and very much decorated. So this is not accepted as per Digambar Jains, but however Shwetambar Jains normally decorate their idols. In fact, you can go to Google and just enter Shwetambar Jain statue, and then you can enter Digambar Jain statue. You can see the difference for yourselves. The fifth difference is that the Digambar Jains are normally from upper middle class families, and they generally do their jobs, and few of them run business, which means most of the Digambar Jains normally prefer living a simple lifestyle, and they just do a good job where they work every month and get a salary. And only some Digambar Jains run their own businesses. Whereas in the Shwetambar Jains, it is the opposite. Among the Shwetambar Jains, only very few Shwetambar Jains go to work and earn a monthly salary, whereas most of the Shwetambar Jains are actually big company owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs and industrialists, which means the Shwetambar Jains, when it comes to earning money, they most of the time do not like to do a job. They like to start up their own business and run their business. So most of the wealthiest businessmen in the world, especially in India, are in fact the followers of Shwetambar Jainism. Even the second richest man in India after Mukesh Ambani, the second richest man in India, who is Mr. Gautam Adani, is also a Jain. And those Shwetambar Jains believe in living, focusing on spirituality. They also value money very importantly. They also value money and all the worldly things very much. Unlike the Digambar Jains, where Digambar Jains are not worried about wealth and money and these worldly pleasures, etc. Whereas Shwetambar Jains are not dishonest people, but however most of them are businessmen and they start their own businesses. And in fact, these days you'll see that followers of both Digambar Jains and Shwetambar Jains are actually becoming more into business. They are focusing more into business, and they're trying to become entrepreneurs. So in the near future, most of the Jains in this world will not be employees, but rather they will be employers, and they will be running their own businesses. the sixth difference is that among the Digambar Jains, the concept of karma is taken too strictly, and they believe that every moment of happiness and sadness in our lives happens due to our previous karma, which means the Digambar Jains normally they take the concept of karma so strictly that they believe that everything that happens in our life, whether we are going through happy moments or sad moments, everything, every tiny thing, they believe that it has nothing to do with our actions of this life, but they are all the result of our previous life's karmas, good or bad. But however, the Shvetambars do not believe this. The Shvetambars do believe in the concept of karma, but they believe that karma only applies in specific situations and at certain times, but not every time. So, the Shvetambar Jains, though they believe in karma, they do not believe that everything completely depends on karma. The Shvetambar Jains normally believe that whatever we achieve in our life or whatever we don't achieve in our life, 90% or 95% it is because of whatever effort we put in this life. Whereas in Digambar Jains, as per Digambar Jains, let's say anyone who becomes a failure in life, they believe that it's all the result of their karma. Whereas Shvetambars believe that if we are planning to change ourselves, we can defeat karma and we make our own destiny. Shvetambars don't believe that their present life's destiny has been pre-planned as per their previous life's deeds. Moving ahead to the seventh difference, the Digambar Jains do not allow women to come and do Abhisheka to the Jain Tirthankaras. For example, inside the temple, there will be a main place where the god's idol is kept. So in Digambar Jain temples, women are not allowed to go in that area. Only men are allowed. And doing Abhisheka, which means, pouring the water, the pure water on the idols. This privilege has not been granted to women in the Digambar sect of Jainism. However, the Shvetambars allow both men and women to go into the Garbhagudi. The Garbhagudi is basically the place where the god's idol is kept. So, in the Shvetambar Jain temple, both men and women are allowed to go into the main area, the main center of the temple, and do the Abhisheka to the idol of the god or the Tirthankar. Again, here I totally agree and respect Shvetambar Jains in this matter. The eighth difference is that the Digambar Jains believe that all the Tirthankaras are males. The Digambar Jains believe that out of all the 24 Tirthankaras who have attained moksha, all of them are males. However, the Shvetambar Jains believe that the 19th Tirthankara, whose name is Sri Mallinath Bhagwan, was actually a female. So Shvetambars actually say that the 19th Tirthankara of Jainism, who is called as Mallinath by the Digambar Jains, the Shvetambar Jains actually call Mallinath Bhagwan as Sri Mallibai Bhagwan, because Mallibai is a lady's name. So Shvetambar Jains believe that the 19th Tirthankara, who is Mallinath, or rather Mallibai, was not a male but she was a female. who attained moksha. Whereas this belief has been refuted by the Digambar Jains, but even the Shwetambar Jains have refuted the belief of the Digambar Jains idea that all the 24 Tirthankaras are males. However, the last difference, the ninth difference, is that even after becoming monks and nuns, the Digambar Jain monks and nuns do not cover their mouth with any cloth or with anything. Whereas the Shwetambar Jain monks, after they become monks, the Shwetambar Munis, once they become monks, along with wearing a white cloth, they even wear a white cloth around their mouth so that they don't harm any microorganism, and they do not harm any bacteria that are flying around in the air. So these are the differences about Digambar Jains and Shwetambar Jains. If you ask me, in my perspective, which Jain do I support? Overall, I will say that in my opinion, I respect both Digambar and Shwetambar Jains, but in the Digambar Jains, I just don't agree to the fact that women cannot attain moksha. Being a true Jain myself, I totally agree that both men and women can attain moksha, and I believe that women are no less than men. I believe that there is nothing what a woman cannot do which man can. So in this case, I totally stand with the Shwetambar Jain philosophy that both men and women are equal and there should be no discrimination against each other, be it in a materialistic way, be it in a worldly point of view, or be it in a religious or a spiritual point of view. Men and women should be treated equally. So in this regards, I totally stand and support the Shwetambar Jain philosophy, since it gives equal rights, equal respect, and equal opportunities to both men and women. Well, that's all for right now. I'll see you back later after some time. Please take care, all of you. Stay home, stay safe. Once the pandemic is over, we all can go back to our normal lives. Thank you guys. Jai Jinendra. I'll end my video by chanting the most powerful mantra of the universe, which is also the most powerful mantra of Jainism. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Airiyanam, Namo Vajjayanam, Namo Loye Sauvasahunam. Eso Panchanamokaro Savapavapanasano, Mangala Nansavesim, Padamama Havai Mangalam. Chattari Mangalam, Arahanta Mangalam, Siddha Mangalam, Sahu Mangalam, Kevali Pannato, Dhammo Mangalam. Chattari Uttama, Arahanta Uttama, Siddha Uttama, Sahu Uttama, Kevali Pannato, Dhammo Uttama. Chattari Sharanam Pavajjami, Arahante Sharanam Pavajjami, Siddhe Sharanam Pavajjami, Sahu Sharanam Pavajjami, Kevali Pannatam Dhammam Sharanam Pavajjami.